I don't really know where to start with this. I'm going to try and speak clearly so that my French friends can translate this with YouTube. So good luck with that. I've been working on this for quite some time. I have two fuel gauges. This is the one I got with the car, Plan Ciel, and this one came off the Grand Large. And this one, 160 miles an hour on that one, only 140 anyway. Now I don't have an original sender for the tank, so I've tried this interface. This is the Spider Wizard interface, and we couldn't get it to work. And I took it back to the guy who makes them, and he sells thousands of these. So I'm not saying it's the problem with this, but when it came to setting the gauge, this one has several positions: empty, quarter, half, 3/4, and full. And when setting this, we couldn't get it to do anything between half and full. It just flew past it and ignored it. And it did that on both of these. And we tried two of these and it still did the same. So that's a mystery. But I know he sells thousands of these, so I really don't suspect it's a problem with that, but we'll see. Right, this has been quite a learning experience. There's two types of sender. A moving coil, which is the old-fashioned sort, and then in 1960-ish, 1965-ish, we had the bimetallic sender. Now, because of the age of this is a 1956, 1955, 1957, sorry. I'm assuming I've got the old sort of moving coil, or originally had a moving coil. And you can't use a bimetallic sender with a moving coil gauge. They won't work. So I'm hoping that this interface, this is a new one I've got, will do the job. This is a Chinese one. Just some prices. These are, depending on where you buy it, £50 to £70. This one is £25. This one is more, it gives you more settings. You get five positions on the gauge, then a linear reading between them. This one only gives you 3. So you get empty, half, and full, and then a linear reading between the two. That one's useful if you've got a funny shaped tank where you're going to use the first half quicker than the second half or something. But the Simca tank is quite a rectangular slab, so this one should be fine. But looking at the wiring diagrams, which I've blown up, I think this is my diagram for 1300. Seems to make sense. And here's the fuel sender, and we have 2 wires as normal. One's the, what would that be, like the earth from the gauge, and the other one is for a light. And yet if we look at the previous one, we've got 3 wires. We've got 2 the same and an extra one, which goes back to the cluster. So is that a different sender to the other one? I can't help you on that. But interestingly, this wire number 15 is a brown, I think it's a brown and a yellow. And the only place I can find it on any of these diagrams is here. And yet I found that colour in my steering column, which shouldn't, and yet I can't find any record of why that should be in a steering column, and yet it's an original wire. So this is all a bit mixed up, and if you read the book, it's like, oh, Simca made a mistake and they changed this to that, and on a Tuesday they couldn't decide, so they did it another way, and there's quite a few anomalies. Anyway, back to this. So the only thing disappointing with this one is it doesn't have a low level light. This one does. But if I can get this one to work, I might be able to use this just for the low level light and nothing else. But we'll see how we get on with this. But easy to wire, positive ground. One goes to the sender, one goes to the gauge. And you get 1 page of instructions with this, as opposed to 6 pages with the wizard. Quite straightforward. Once you get into it, it's okay. This, I presume, translated straight from Chinese, so it's not wonderful. But see if we can make it work. Oh, before I forget, the sender I've used is from a VW Beetle from the 1967, I think, something like that. I'll put a picture in now. This is a neat trick. This came with the wizard. We can buy these are about £1, a variable resistor. And I took these readings from the tank. I filled it with water to various levels and measured the resistance off the sender. And these are the values I'm going to use. So I can use this variable resistor to mimic this, so as I don't have to keep filling the tank and emptying the tank and what have you. So let's try and get this working. Right, after a lot of trial and error, and probably mostly my fault, I think I have it working. I couldn't get that this small resistor to work, so I had to take the gauge out of the car. But I could check the resistance of the gauge against these figures with this, and set each position on here to suit. And if I move, that's empty. You can see this. To full. And that all seems to work fine. The only thing I can't get it to do is when you power off, and if I just turn the power off now, the gauge goes to full. I really I'd like it to go to 0, but you should be able to achieve that, but so far I've not worked that out. So if I just power that up again, and that will go to where the sender is. So that's worked. So now I'm going to try and get this to work the low fuel light. I did have a little try to get this LED to flash off the wizard, but I've given up. I'm a bit scared that putting the 2 units together might damage something. So I'm going to do away with that. But there's no main beam warning lamp on here, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to put a blue LED in there and use that as my main beam warning for the lights. Just have to watch the gauge, but for now, there we are. That's full. Oh, come on, that's empty. So I'm happy with that for now.